Good morning, my vibrations. It's V to the I to the B to the mother of 5E. Here we go. Starting chapter 6 of Power of Intention by Dr. Wayne Dyer. Chapter 6 is Intention and Infinity. Eternity is not the hereafter. This is it. If you don't get it here, you won't get it anywhere. I kind of disagree with that, but I might touch on that some other time. That's Joseph Campbell. Please indulge me in a little exercise right here, right now. Put this book down and say out loud, I'm not from here. Let the meaning of the words be clear to you. The meaning is that you are in this world, but not of this world. You've been taught that who you are is a body with your name, made up of molecules, bones, tissue, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen. You know yourself as a person with your particular name, and you identify yourself as a person with the possessions and achievements that you've accumulated. This self also possesses some terrifying information. It knows that if it's lucky, it's destined to grow old, get sick, and lose everything that it's grown to love. Then it will die. This is a shortened version of what the world has offered you, which probably leaves you mystified and flabbergasted at the absurdity of this thing we call life. Into this bleak picture, which inspires fear and even terror, I'd like to introduce a concept that will eliminate the terror. I want you to know that you needn't subscribe to the idea that you are only this collection of bones and tissues, destined to be annihilated in an aging process. You've emerged from a universal field of creation that I've been calling intention. In a sense, this universal mind is totally impersonal. It is pure love, fondness, beauty, and creativity, always expanding and endlessly abundant. You emanated from this universal mind, and as I keep telling you, universal means everywhere and at all times. In other words, infinite. As long as your wishes are aligned with the forward movement of this everlasting principle, there's nothing in nature to restrict you from attaining the full fulfillment of those wishes. It's only when you choose to allow ego to oppose the expanding, receptive forward movement of the infinite mind of intention that the realization of your wishes doesn't feel fulfilling. Life itself is eternal, and you spring from this infinite no thing called life. Your ability to connect to the eternal and live in the hereafter. Your ability to connect to the eternal and live in the here and now will determine your staying connected to intention. Life is eternal. We all live on a stage where many infinites gather. Just take a look outside tonight and contemplate the infinity of space. There are stars so distant from you that they're measured in the distance that light travels in an earthly year. Beyond those stars that you can see are endless galaxies that stretch out into something we call eternity. Indeed, the space that you occupy is infinite. Its vastness is too huge for us to see. We're in an infinite, never-ending, never-beginning universe. Now, pay close attention to this next sentence. If life is infinite, then this is not life. Read that again and consider that life truly is infinite. If life is infinite, then this is not life. We can see this in everything that we scrupulously observe. Therefore, we must conclude that life, in terms of our body and all of its achievements and possessions, which without exception begins and ends in dust, isn't life itself. Grasping life's true essence could radically change your life for the better. This is an enormous inner shift that eliminates fear of death. How can you fear something that can't exist and connects you permanently to the infinite source of creation that intends everything from the world of infinite spirit into a finite world? Learn to be comfortable with the concept of infinity and see yourself as an infinite being. While we're in this finite world of beginnings and endings, the power of intention maintains its infinite nature because it's eternal. Anything you experience as other than eternal is simply not life. It's an illusion created by your ego, which strives to maintain a separate address and identity from its infinite source. This shift towards seeing yourself as an infinite spiritual being having a human experience rather than the reverse, that is, a human being having an occasional spiritual experience, is loaded with fear for most people. I urge you to look at those fears and face them directly right now. The result will be a permanent connection to the abundance and receptivity of the universal source that intends all of creation into temporary form. Your fear of the infinite. We are all in bodies that are going to die, and we know this. Yet, we can't imagine it for ourselves, so we behave as if it weren't so. It's almost as if we're saying to ourselves, everybody dies but me. This is attributable to what Freud observed. Our death is unimaginable, so we simply deny it and live our lives as if we weren't going to die, because of the terror that our own death instills. As I sat down to write this chapter, I said to a friend that my goal was to leave the reader with a complete absence of fear of death. Let me know if it touches you in that way, even on a minor scale, and it did. I do not fear death anymore. This is the book that I read after my mom had passed away. And I know you guys keep hearing me say my mom. I'm talking about the mother who raised me, not Nana from Life with Vicky's videos. That is my biological mother, but she didn't actually raise me. So I'm talking about my mom who passed away in 2007. And I found this book, and it did help me to not fear death. When I was a 7-year-old, I lived with my older brother David in a foster home at 231 Town Hall Road in Mount Clemens, Michigan. The people who took us in while my mother worked to reunite her family were named Mr. and Mrs. Scarf. I remember this as if it occurred yesterday. David and I were sitting on the back porch of our home, and Mrs. Scarf came outside with 2 bananas in her hand and tears flowing down her face. She gave us each a banana, saying, "Mr. Scarf died this morning." It was the first time I'd experienced the concept of death connected to a human being. In my 7-year-old naivete, I asked her, attempting to soothe her obvious pain, "When will he be back?" Mrs. Scarf responded with one word that I've never forgotten. She simply said, "Never." I went upstairs to my bunk, peeled my banana, and lay there attempting to comprehend the concept of never. What did being dead forever really mean? I could have handled 1,000 years or even 1,000,000,000 light years, but the idea of never was so overwhelming, with its no ending and more no ending, that I was almost sick to my stomach. What did I do to handle this incomprehensible idea of never? Simple. I forgot about it and went on about the business of being 7 years old in a foster home. This is what Castaneda meant when he said that we're all in bodies on their way to dying, but we behave as if they're not, and this is our greatest downfall. Your own death. Essentially, there are 2 points of view regarding the dilemma of your own death. The first says that we're physical bodies that are born and we go on to live for a while, and then ultimately we deteriorate, our flesh wears out, and then we die and are dead forever. This first perspective, if you embrace it either consciously or otherwise, is terrifying from our alive viewpoint. Unless you embrace the second point of view, it's completely understandable that you fear death, or you may welcome it if you hate or fear life. The second point of view says very simply that you're eternal and infinite soul in a temporary expression of flesh. This second point of view says that your only physical body dies, that only your physical body dies, that you were whole and perfect as you were created, and that your physicalness emanated from the universal mind of intention. That universal mind was and is formless. It's the pure energy of love, beauty, kindness, creativity, and it can't die since there's no form involved. No form, no death, no boundaries, no deterioration, no flesh, no possibility of it wasting away. And I'm going to stop there because my timer says about 18 seconds. So, intention and infinity. I've been going through a lot of soul searching and thinking about death these last couple of days, and I don't really believe that the flesh, the body dies. The vessel that our spirit is in dies, but I do not believe that the essence of the person is gone, because I do feel my mother around sometimes. I smell her perfume. I do feel my dad around. You know what I mean? I still feel that love, that presence. So I do not believe that you never feel that person, or it's just you don't see them physically. You can't hold them physically. You can't, they're not tangible. They're not something that you can reach out and touch anymore. But okay, time to get to work, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for part 2 of chapter 6, The Power of Intention by Dr. Wayne Dyer. You guys have a great day.